How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books, it's found on the battlefield. All right, what's up, Warriors? Welcome back. I'm with Dr. David Rubenstein, and we're about to kick some butt with you today. Now, Doc, people are like, okay, who's David? Who's this? I gotta know who that is. Feel
Okay.
free to tell the people who you are.
Well, cool. First, I'm very happy to be here with you, Rick. My background is in the world of kinesiology, exercise, specific to chronic pain and chronic stress. I developed a number of programs that relate to that, and during a study that I was conducting that took about 17 years to complete, I stumbled upon a technique that really revolutionized the whole concept of movement with the body and how that affects the mind and emotions in particular. And so that's called the neuromuscular calibration, would be I guess you would call it the clinical name. And the name for the general public is total relief method. So, and I work with individuals who suffer from not just physical pain, but emotional pain as well. Things like PTSD and addiction would be right in the center point of what type of client I work with. In addition, athletes that are looking to up their game and level, it's what I do.
It's fantastic. In 17 years of you doing a study on this, when you like, I cracked this, you figured one out, right?
Yes.
Now, when you're working with people, because I've worked with people in the same field, so I love seeing different perspectives getting to the same answer.
Yes.
How did you approach? Let's just start with the addiction, or we can jump into PTSD next. But the addiction one, I found where the core piece is for our side. I want to see what you found from your side.
Very interesting question. And this all started after I opened my first office doing neuromuscular calibration. Very early on, it was like the second month, a gentleman that I was working with who had back pain for 20 years or something like that, and he was a very serious young man, about 26, 27 years old. And in session number 7 of a 20-session program, he leaned forward and he did something that became something that every person who had an addiction background, they would do the same thing. It's very odd, and it still happens today. They lean forward, they look like so, and they say, "Is this supposed to help with addiction?" And they'd say, "I know that's a weird question." And this first guy, he didn't tell me that he was having trouble with alcohol, and he just left that out of the interview and the paperwork and all that, which is understandable. And I said, "Well, why do you ask?" He said, "For the first time in my adult life, I lost all motivation to drink at all." And being the first time, it really took me back. And honestly, at the time, I didn't know much about addiction. And I less than a year later, man named Dr. Dan Mays, a psychologist, he and neuroscientist, he really mentored me in the whole world of addiction. Um, but at the time, I didn't know what was going on when he said that, and I was just fascinated that even happened. Well, it began to happen regularly, and that drew me into actually working in the inpatient and outpatient side of addiction. And what I stumbled upon, what I found was, to me, profound. I don't know if anybody else would say so, but I found a physical means to stop the drive to drink or use. And so that's how in the addiction world that worked. And basically, what I've discovered for myself and for my patients was that there was two extremely common denominators, and the first one was maladaptive breathing. Every addict that I've worked with, which is, if I include my staff, is over 22,000. And in every case, I'm uncomfortable as a scientist to say 100%, but there you have it. What we found, and we had a way to measure this, was that their breathing from the diaphragm was almost non-existent. And if you look at the diaphragm and its role in breathing, what you find is that 60% of the oxygen delivery power is in the diaphragm, not in the upper chest area. That leaves the person with a mild case of sustained chronic hypoxia. And that led to or leads to a chronic condition of staying in fight or flight. They just don't ever really get out of it, even when asleep. And so that was the first main sort of chunk that happened. And I've written papers about this, and we can talk about that another time if you'd like. But that led to some other understandings and eventually led to what I call the chronic stress cycle, um, which is it's actually really simple. Once the diaphragm's not working, what'll happen right after that is that the jaw area and the muscles that surrounding the jaw will tighten, and they'll tighten significantly, compressing the joint. That is also a known trigger for fight or flight. So, in lectures that I give, I ask the audience to clench their jaw together with about 80% effort for 10 seconds. And then I'll ask the audience, who in here felt a stress increase? Every hand will go up, just to show them that this is actually a real thing. And so the jaw problem will lead to degradations in not just muscles, but joints as well, which is part of the problem of chronic pain. Like, when I was working in the inpatient, especially, everybody had a pain profile. It was almost always the same first three. Number one, low back pain, which is explainable by the diaphragm not working because the diaphragm stabilizes the lumbar spine. And secondly, they'll have neck and shoulder pain. And then third, they'll generally have jaw tightness or pain. So those same three pain patterns became sort of a moniker of helping the diagnostic side to say, oh, yes, they have these physical conditions. And that's kind of the simplified thing. And that drives the psychology from the fight or flight point of view anyway. And so that's what I found with addiction. And then by extension, every addict has PTSD that I've ever seen or worked with. But not every person who has PTSD is an addict, which is a strange sort of combination of reversed problems physiologically in the brain body.
I don't think it's that strange at all. This is pretty common with the things I've seen in the city because we've also worked with PTSD and addiction also, and
Mhm.
there's commonalities to the pieces that you found. I love that you have the maladaptive breathing and you have like the clenching of the jaw for stress,
Yes.
but almost both because the reason that both of these are like that is because they're linked to pain. There is a pain. That's why PTSD is linked to grief, and so is
Mm.
addiction. And just different areas of grief are usually triggered more often. So I'm definitely seeing the same thing as you. And so when you're working with them, are you trying to get them to work on different breathing techniques or jaw relaxation? Like what is the thing that's worked for you in this area?
Thanks. That's a great question. So what happens, and this is the strangest and most delightful part of it, when resolving the diaphragm problem. So first of all, there's a diagnostic, a very simple test. That's a hands-on test, and you basically place your hands at the base of the diaphragm on the front part of the ribs. You ask them to breathe a large couple of breaths, and you feel no downward plunging, which is representative of the diaphragm that works at all. And then you know that that's not working. The fix for that is equally simple, and that is to place your hands in basically the same region, but you add a downward and upward force. So you're triggering the diaphragm to respond to a forceful breath, and then it just turns right back on. In usually takes about 2 to 2.5 minutes for that entire process, front to back, and they're now breathing with their diaphragm. And by the time this whole process is over, and I always trigger the diaphragm into a function first, then I work on that jaw, the TMJ issue. And at the end, I ask, when's the last time? Because they always say, and their face shows it. I ask them, how long has it been since you felt this relaxed? And they'll have a pause. And I said, has it been a year? Oh, no, nah, 3, 5 years? Well, it's been longer than that, 10 years? And almost universally, it's even longer than 10 years. And they're actually, I'm gonna say slightly freaked out because it's a short amount of time and they feel so much more relaxed than they've recognized in so long, that it's a little, discombobulating, I'll say to them, but of course, extremely positive. So that's the that's the process in the very first session.
One thing I learned in this world is that simplicity is genius.
Yeah.
You know, and like simple as like take a deep belly breath and slow down your like put your breathing in your diaphragm, like
Uh-huh.
change the way you breathe. This is also good for communication too.
Mhm,
It makes them communicate differently and have a different energy or tone if they speak from their diaphragm. So
mhm.
all the way around, very beneficial for not only their stress regulation, but also communication. It's a win-win in the way
Yes.
that you're teaching that. It seems like it's very good. Also, the clenching of the jaw, I can only imagine their communication also changes. Like, 'cause if you're clenching the whole time, like there's just such a there's almost like a provoke just in regular conversation, and people will get
Yes.
defensive,
I
which
find
then
that exactly same thing, and during the research phase of this, I found out that the jaw joint, TMJ, has 10 times more mechanoreceptors. These are nerve cells that sense pressure than any other joint in the body, which is shocking because you could I I would say most people, even clinicians, if you ask that question, where are the most nerves in the body? I don't think 1 in 100 would imagine that it's in the jaw, but it is. And so what that does is it makes clenching or intra-articular pressure, extremely sensitive and resulting in a very large magnitude reaction, uh, fight or flight or freeze or faint or any of those to even a small amount of pressure. And so relieving that pressure, and here's the key from my point of view is I developed the calibration process retrains the muscles, essentially saying that the brain learns a new way to operate the muscles so that the result is a durable result. We call that in medicine, or a long lasting result, which is, I think, critical to. And that was, I had two goals when I started this journey. One was to find a way to relieve chronic pain, um, and the second was to have that last because in my younger years when I was an athlete, uh, and I'd go to get massage or physical therapy or whatever, I never found something that had a lasting effect that was positive. It would always, have a shelf life on it, a date where it would not work anymore. So that was my passion was to, and still is to do something that has a lasting effect.
that was going to be my next question because like how what happens like if you haven't addressed like the core reason for PTSD or the core reason for why am I going towards distraction or addiction? Like it stays away. They just have to focus more on their breathing and their jaw, and then I'm sure there's more. I feel like you got more tricks in your pocket here. Like this is just session one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Well,
like the longevity would still have to address like what happened at some point, right?
well, this was one of the best moments of my entire career was in finding something that worked for them. And it turned out to be physiologically based, not psychologically based. And so in the first session, I'll always tell the patient, look, we don't really need to talk about, the trauma issues because the trauma is what triggers this, right? And everybody understands that trauma is the main trigger to all these stress issues. And the funny thing is that so I'm not a psychologist. I'm a physiological oriented provider, and so what we talk about is comparing the last session to this session and those kinds of things. Uh, but I don't get into what the trauma is. And I have this funny story for you. So this patient named Javier came in. He's a Marine guy, and CPTSD was his issue. And he came in. He had a tumbler, like a huge cup, and it was a vodka drink. This is his first session, and he disclosed to me. He goes, "Look, doc, two things I want you to know right up front. I'm just doing this because I'm trying to get my wife to get off my back, number one, and number two, I'm not going to be continuing in it." And I said, "Isn't it you're a Marine, right?" He goes, "Absolutely, through and through." I said, "I understand Marines don't quit." And he railed at me. He was, like, using a lot of language because I was right. The Marines don't quit. And his other disclosure is, "Look, I'm not gonna talk about what happened to me in Iraq, okay?" I'm like, "I'm never gonna ask." I have a lot of friends who are in the services, and, even in SEAL teams, and, you just don't ask them. If they wanna tell you, that's one thing, but you don't ask them about what happened. So, session number 7 or 8 with Javier, he comes in and he goes, "Look, I gotta tell you something." "Go ahead." He told me about what happened in Iraq, and it was the worst story I've ever heard about the fog of war. There was a huge sandstorm during a firefight, and here's the thing, Rick, he had no excitation, no traumatic presentation. It was just information being shared with me because all of the traumatic stuff was not there for him anymore. And we like to say we turn drama into data, sort of a cold way to say it, but that's what happens. And to me, that says that there's something to the idea that this gets anchored in the body, but its presentation, its experience is mostly in the mind. It's just not actually located there from our model's point of view anyway, which I think is fascinating.
That is fascinating. It's
So
very because like I think just from what I'm seeing, like I think all the pieces fit together, like there because I think we're combination mind, heart, body, spirit. We have all the pieces, but I
yeah,
love that you've came from a body side angle and go look if you address this body side, like it starts making the other sides work together, and it seems like if you take like this almost Voltron approach, like you got the body side lion bot, that's like, look, if you address this one, it works. But I think if you put them all together, it makes this Voltron like, look, put them all together. But the body side one is where people are missing because they want to medicate body instead of getting to the point where you can reduce the stress through the kinesthesiology. I think it's pretty
yes,
awesome.
that's exactly my experience, what you just said, and, um, there's one more thing that, appeals to my sensibilities about taking the body approach. It's a kind of a 2 or 3 pronged thing. First of all, you don't have to re-traumatize, or the patient doesn't have to go through, talking about their memory and the raw nature of destruction within them that comes from that, so they don't get re-traumatized. And secondly, it's comparatively easy for them, and then when they are in a talk therapy environment, what happens is because they're breathing well, they can talk clearly. Their frontal cortex will work well, um, compared to when they're in that trauma experience, to try to get them in that place of their frontal cortex working with you, the therapist, you just get a lot further in a shorter period of time, and it's much more comfortable.
I'll be open with you. I love that. That's fantastic. Like it's such a useful approach, but again, the simplicity is genius.
Yeah.
And I'll be open with you on this. I also don't take any of my soldiers or any of my guys right into their bullshit. Like, we train them before we ever go in. We don't,
Oh,
"Hey, tell me about your trauma." Like, no, you're gonna be ready before we ever do that. You'll know how to handle that before it even comes up.
yes.
And so, no, I found the same thing. Like, let's get you the basic tools before we put you in the ring. And I love that you have a no, no, if you get your breathing right and you don't clench your jaw, practice this until you can realize you're doing data instead of drama.
Yep.
I That's fantastic way to give somebody a better tool in their arsenal to be able to work through this.
Yep. Makes it an easier job on the therapist too. Uh,
That's true. You have to take on, like, you heard that first story and you're like, "Oh man, I got to deal with this now."
yeah.
Because you take the energy on, and I take a lot of energy on for these people, and so you have to unload that on your own too. You have to do your own you have to do your own unload, and I'm sure you've had
Yes.
to do some days too, like, "I better breathe from the diaphragm today."
Yeah, as you've experienced so many times in your career, that as you say, you take it on, it's somewhat, um, mildly traumatizing to the practitioner because, I mean, some of these stories, they're so horrible, they're so horrifying to listen to, and then you imagine, "Well, what if I was actually experiencing that?" It's hard to imagine. I mean, there's probably my oldest veteran, that I worked with is he was in Vietnam, and he was on a, uh assignment where his whole squad were killing children by shooting them in the head, and that one, I could still to this day, I can't get my head or my heart around what that must have done to him, and, I mean, he came back from Vietnam, and he was so non-functional, I would takes too much time to tell you the stories he told me, but, it was, just heart-wrenching, and, now we call him the Cookie Monster because he's jovial, fun to be around, clearly not traumatized by his past anymore, and that's just I feel almost childlike in the amazement of that, of how this genuinely loving man, uh, is got his life together, um, and isn't maneuvered and, the marionette of trauma. It just, controls the person so thoroughly, um, that's just not there anymore, and his his wife came in my office with him to all of his appointments, and there was this one appointment where his wife is like 5'1", but she's just a nutcracker, tough woman. And we just wrapped up this check-in appointment and he's doing really well. And she turns to him and points his finger. He's a big man. She points his finger up to him like this. And she goes, "You're going to do everything this doctor tells you to do, or you're going to have to deal with me." It was a moment of great humor, but she was serious. And so he learned the techniques for breathing, and some other key stretches. Trauma lives in the fascia. Of all of the body's parts, it lives in the fascia. And so we use I call it the three-legged stool, where the homework looks like certain breathing techniques, number one, fascial stretching program, and then third, a walking program. And those three things maintain the results. Going back to my desire was to help people in a way that lasted. And I would say to a great extent, we've been somewhat successful at that.
It's fantastic. What a cool thing to do. And, like, I really do love the approach of all of us coming at these things from, like, different angles to try to get to the same result. I think it's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
How long do these people end up working with you? Like, on just average? I know some would be a little longer than others, but is this like a 12-week thing, a 3-week thing? What's most common for people to
I'd
really
say
get
that
these
the
done?
average is probably around 16 weeks. Some are longer, some are shorter. And that depends on the comfort level. Of course, finances are playing a role in that. Um, but probably 16 weeks is the average.
Cool. That makes sense. So like 3 to 4 months is usually around like around that time you're gonna have this thing, this breakthrough will be solid.
Mhm, mhm.
That's pretty great. It's fantastic. So like to knock out 20, 30, 40 years worth of stuff in just a couple months, pretty great.
It's a pretty cool thing.
That is awesome. Way to
Fun.
go, Doc.
It's rewarding, you know?
It is rewarding. It's very cool. As far as this goes, like such an interesting thing to do on this one for this. Um, I would almost go like, all right, how do you apply the other elements to it? Because we do know there are other elements, but how are you guys just making sure? I know that if we get this part, it's such a key part
Mhm.
that like how does it address the heart and how does it address the spirit and how does it address the mind? What's your opinion? I just you don't have to have the answer because I know you're going body side, but I really want your opinion just on what you've seen or how you've been mentored or what your opinion is.
Well, I would say the first thing is that when I say the word drama, I just mean the intensity of high emotions, of, uh, great difficulty, like being in the moment, um, which is, in my experience, catastrophic to the quality of relationships. And, I think that one of the most painful thing there is about, uh, trauma-induced PTSD, it has to do with the crushing effects to their primary relationships and the intimacy and the quality of communication in those relationships. So when you just lower the volume on all of the things that they're suffering with, like day in, day out, and I think one of the biggest emphasis I have to make is on the quality of sleep. Because if the person can't sleep, which most of them can't, or even if they medicate, that's not really causing quality sleep. Uh, it makes you sleep, but your brain isn't getting cleared out, which is the primary cause for sleep. Um, so what happens is, I'm going to say the authentic person that's being hidden behind this wall of pain and suffering emerges because the pain and suffering is not there. I'm going to say 80% is like the threshold. When you get 80% of that suffering to come down, the person comes up and through, and it's like a new person. And they begin to really like who they are, which most of them haven't had that feeling in a long time. And my personal favorite thing, I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my throat here. My personal favorite thing that's ever happened in this work is that, and it always happens with a question in right around the seventh session. I can't explain why it's the seventh session. I don't know. But what happens is they say to me without provocation, "Hey, look, I'm having this weird experience I want to tell you about. What is it? I feel closer to God. Is that weird?" I'm like, "That's wonderful." So their spiritual side comes through, and it's my belief that that's happening because their focus isn't on surviving the suffering. And I believe fully 100% in my soul that we're all designed to have that spiritual life, parallel to all the other aspects of our life. And you just remove a lot of the junk, and they have the time and the desire. One of my guys a couple years back became a pastor. He was an abusive father and husband, uh, drinking, I mean, un unbelievable amounts of alcohol. After the program, he became a pastor.
It's so cool. And I love that people are able to do it. Like you said, 7 session is somewhere around when they start tapping into like, I'm more than my past. I'm
Yes.
more than the pain. And there's something more to my potential than just what I was or what I did.
Yes.
And I love that right around the 7th session. That's pretty awesome. Like, well done. That's very cool. Um, I love that you're coming to these conclusions. I'm going to go into a triggering thing. What do you think about people who are like, you should medicate these people? Let's just get them on they just need medication. That's what they need.
All the medication they need is already in their brain.
So, what are your thoughts on like, nah, we need to get them all on medication?
I'm just not a fan because the what that I've seen over the years is that they don't need the medication. In fact, so far in the last 20 years, all of the people that I've worked with that are on antidepressants, all of them have stopped using them. Now, as you know, I can't tell them stop using any medication. I just tell them to go back to the doctor and ask the doctor, do they think they need the medication anymore? The answer is always no. And sometimes parallel issue is that their gut system is not producing enough serotonin. You know, the brain only produces 10% of it. And so it's a very important thing that sometimes that we go down that road of looking at how their gut system is not able to produce its proper chemistry for the brain. But that's just another step that we need to take in their program.
I found the same thing. I'm gonna concur with you, doctor. Like just in my experience of working with people, because I do the same. Where like once you get rid of this thing, they're like, I don't think I need these anymore. I don't feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a very cool thing to do. But you're starting to see that I found healthy people don't need medication,
Yes. Exactly.
and so you're like, well, once they start being healthier, they start actually being able to connect. But one thing I found with SSRIs or being able to see people on anti-anxiety, antidepressants, anything like this,
Hmm.
it also stops them from connection. It may stop a negative feeling, but it also stops your connection feelings and they're stuck. And being able to help them through that, that's a very powerful thing to be like, no, let's work on your breathing. Let's loosen up the jaw. Let's get some stretches in here. And you're gonna start seeing that you're actually not sick. You're through that already. We're okay. And I want to be able to help you get this pain or this identity around pain out of you.
I agree, and what I also have found, Rick, is that it's very empowering to them when they go from, "Hey, I need this medicine to function," to, "I don't need this medicine to function at all, and I'm functioning well."
Yes.
It's generates a lot more confidence and, um, peace in the back of their mind that, "Hey, I can actually do this, and I can actually get healthy again." And, I think there's no replacing hope.
No, no, you need hope, faith, courage. Yeah,
Yes,
no, these are powerful, powerful elements. Yes.
and I'll say it this way, those results of the suffering coming down gives them hope, reemerges naturally for them, and but then add some guidance from a professional in the area of your work, is so validating to their experience because sometimes, they go from all this suffering to not, and my clients will sometimes actually be in this place of, "Is this real?" And that's where, you know, um, communication-based therapy, you can work them through these steps of, "Hey, look, this happened." You can use that, avenue to hugely boost the confidence in them feeling good. Like, when I encounter someone who's just their whole life is suffering, right? Um, Feeling good is actually uncomfortable for them. I've had some, last year I had a couple of vets that I was working with where, I mean, this literally happened. Their first session, it was 2 different guys. Their first session, they felt so good, and I remember being walked down the hall, is they just had more comments and questions, and they were so excited about feeling good. But the next couple of days, they go into this, like, um, almost like a buyer's remorse thing where they're not used to feeling good, and, and they just, like, didn't continue because they couldn't stand feeling good. I know that sounds crazy, but it's happened enough times for me to convince that that's an actual, um, thing that's real that happens with some folks.
It's super common. No, it's not that weird. It's very common. Like in people who have been, if you've been living in hell for a long time, hard to understand a pleasure system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense. So no, I definitely see like what you're looking at, and I love that you're addressing this pain element of it. It's so powerful. There's another part, especially when it comes to the depression, PTSD, and when it comes to their motivation falling apart and the element of themselves feeling like I can't do anything, I don't fucking deserve it, I feel like shit.
Right.
And this part of it, there's another element that like I could teach you in minutes how it works, because I found there's two core pieces when it starts going into addiction, PTSD, depression. You start finding these elements that's there, especially for the depression part of it, where people just can't get the fuck out of their own misery.
Yep.
The pain element, and you have to grieve through. And I like that you have an element where you can take the pressure off and then grieve through. Is I love what you're doing on that. The other element is shame.
Mhm.
And like, and that's the part where I hate myself, or I am a piece of shit, or I am a terrible person, or I am not worth loving. And that shame element is taught very wrong today. And I got like this isn't another I'm publishing this soon for the next book that comes out. But that piece would work really well for you being able to help them through that mind part of like, now that you can breathe, can we stop hating ourselves for a second? Like it's a very useful thing, but today's
It's
psychology teaches it wrong.
odd for me to laugh at that, but it's just a knee jerk thing because that's what I find so often, and, you know, we're not really equipped for that part of things here, and, so, I'm loving that you're sharing that part with me because, that's not something that I can really overcome like you would be able to.
Yeah, listen, either we collaborate on that, or because I love what you're doing is makes it so you can breathe again. I love that. Like it's a very powerful approach, because body side usually is very action oriented, and to make that a relax oriented so that way you can do the next element, because you do have to go through your grieving cycle still. You still
Yep.
have to do that acceptance element to release that level of pain in there. But
Yes.
that shame can still stick in there even if you're doing better. You're like, yeah, but I still know that I'm a piece of shit. You're
Yes.
like, you don't have to do that anymore. Do you want to? How far do you want to go with that? Because I'll teach you something kind of cool if you want to use it. You can use it
Please,
for you.
please do. Please do.
Let's see. I'm gonna try and see if I can do a share screen. If I can, this is gonna be very cool for you. And this is actually pretty high level. So here's my behavioral map, and if you want me to email this to you, it's very complicated, but it's this is the 2D version of a very 3D thing.
Uh-huh.
And so what I'm gonna talk about is like you're working in, we have to work on your belief element. So let's make sure we at least know where's the brain at on this thing.
Okay.
It's your belief system. You got your feelings, your values. We could get into a big debate that it starts from love, but that gets confusing for people. So let's start with our beliefs, and our belief that, I am a piece of shit, or I am garbage, or I am a horrible person, or I am unworthy of love, or I am not okay.
Mhm.
And today's psychology will start leaning into your identity. It'll start getting into all the different elements of behaviors, patterns, habits, purpose, faith, philosophy, religions, personality types. Like, you'll start getting in all the other elements of I am, because it's I am.
Mhm.
Makes sense, right? The issue
Uh,
is something happened when you wanted to do something. You had a goal. I don't know. I mean, it could be protect the country, could be start a business, could be have a relationship, could be loved by your parents. It doesn't matter what it is. You had a goal, right? And that goal felt good for some time. And that made you believe that you were worth all these things, worth loving, worth caring for, worth being with, well, all the things. And then something came in and said, "You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You're a piece of shit. You're an idiot. Nobody gives a fuck about you. You can't do that." And that goes in, well, my motivation is like, I don't know. I think it's a good idea, but that makes me feel pretty bad. But I have to believe in myself that like I can do this. So then I'm going to go and try and do my goals and dreams. Well, now that I'm going to my goals and dreams, your goals and dreams are based on how much do you believe in yourself as your potential?
Mhm,
How much action do you put into it is going to make it so I have some sort of like, let's go for it. And
mhm.
then it'll give you results. And if the results aren't the greatest because I thought it was a good idea, but you told me I'm an idiot or I'm a piece of shit or nobody cares or I'm not good enough. And then I was like, I'm going to dabble. And the results weren't the best. Well, that goes into my attitude about doing my goal. And I'm like,
Rick, can you send this to me?
yeah, I'll send it to you. And I'm like, now my goals are starting to get messed up, right? And I'm like, oh, but I still think it's a good idea. I know I can't just quit. I think it's a good idea. So I'm gonna do it again. But this time I'm not going all in because it hurt too much to watch it go bad.
Ah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna give it a little bit of actions to just hope it works. And that gave me really little results. And that's gonna make this really, really believe that's not a good idea. Now something happens. Now it's on not on here, but it's magic. Something happens from results to belief. Somewhere in this line right here, something happens. Somewhere from this, it goes, "You are not good enough. You can't do it. You are worthless. You don't deserve love. You." Somewhere in here, a death happens inside of your soul, and it goes where I agree with you. It's no longer you, it turns into I. Now, something in here, a part of your soul dies, and now the belief system is I am not good enough. I
So
am worthless.
totally reinforced.
Yep. I am a loser. I
Hope
am
goes by the
worthless.
wayside,
Yep. Hope. Oh,
and
yeah. Well, anything that's for your potential for authenticity out the window. Now, the issue is something died. A part of you that can't be seen died. A part of you that believes in yourself. A part of you that has purpose. A part of you that's good and worthy and unstoppable dies. A piece of you just got chunked out. Well, people start going into this identity element, but you got to remember what happens when something dies. It's your grief system gets triggered. You go to loss, but there's a death you can't see, which is a part of your soul. And that's where you live in denial, sadness, anger, and bargaining. I know they try to say depression, but it doesn't start with depression, so I make it beatable. So you got to go through your acceptance area, but we don't know to get to acceptance. So people go like, "Oh, well, I don't want to fucking talk about it." Maybe if I would have had a different circumstance and maybe if I had a different situation, I could have done it. And maybe if I wasn't a fucking loser, I'd be able to fucking do it. That could be it. And you
can I
see how
ask
they
a
talk in their
question?
bargaining? Yeah.
Um, the race to I mean, I love this so much, I wanna put it on a giant poster in my office.
I'll get you one. I
Um,
got one right here.
okay. Can you define for me the race to acceptance?
So the race to acceptance is because people it's not how fast you do it. It's understanding that there's a finish line. And most people don't know there's a finish line to grieving. So you're trying to get to the finish. Maybe a marathon, it might be a sprint, but there's a finish line. And so understanding that you have to get to a finish line. Most people bounce back and forth in here their whole life. They'll go, I don't want to talk about it. Well, what if this and what if that and maybe this and woulda, coulda, shoulda here. And now I'm just pissed off because they should have done this thing and I hate that. And it's not fair. And that's not right that they did that. And I wish they would have done this because my needs were this and I never got them. And now I'm just so sad and I'm bummed out and I'm a piece of crap now and nobody loves me and I'm not worth it. But I don't want to talk about it because I got work to do today. I just wish somebody gave a shit about me, but nobody fucking cares anyways. So now I'm bummed out and hate myself. So I'll just push it down even further. And, the cycle just keeps bouncing back and forth. And they just stay in here. And most people stay in here their whole life. They don't know that there's a finish line right over here you have to get to. And so it just turns into just a marathon of you just bouncing back and forth all the time until you realize that I have to get to acceptance in each category. Now, here's one thing I found. This is just before I get to um, the part for shame. I also found that this one right here is directly linked to the addiction element of it.
Mhm.
This is the part where I don't wanna talk about it. I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm not gonna talk about it at all, which, suppresses all the pain. Push it down, push it down, push it down. But that pain hurts so bad that that ends up leading to one of, like, where you get the enemy within element of it, which is where I need to feel some sort of pleasure, right? Because
That's that's
I
sort of
have
the answer.
Yep. So I need to distract myself from pain. So I'm going to overcompensate with pleasure. And most of our guys will go, numb sounds better than pain. So let's get some alcohol. And this goes in any direction. Could be online gaming, shopping, social media, pornography. You name your pleasure system, and then let's overindulge. Let's go
Yep.
nuts with it. So you realize distractions plus denial equals addiction. But leaning back and forth in here, once you start realizing that I'm in this system, there's that I am a piece of shit. I am a piece of shit. I am a piece of shit. The I am start to
Keeps getting
stack.
reinforced.
Yep. But they start stacking in here. And that's
Mhm.
where it starts getting real heavy. And like you said, it stays stuck in the body. This is the weight of the mind and the heart and the spirit stacking onto the body. And you're actually helping them break apart this element. Because remember, once you went to that death, you can now self manufacture. Now I can just make as much like self destruction as I want. I can shame myself all day. And the shaming is just, I can make as much as I desire. I can make tons of it until you're holding hundreds of pounds of just self loathing on your shoulders and just shame. And once you're holding that on your shoulders, you start running into apathy.
It's
And
like the
apathy,
whole thing is generating shame from multiple angles simultaneously.
correct. And that's why people misdiagnose the solution on this one. If this is happening and this is stacking on top of yourself, now you start realizing people go into severe depression, and that's apathy where they can't get out of bed. I don't even want to get off the couch. I don't want to do anything. But you also know you need to be doing something, and that gives you anxiety. I know I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be doing something, but I can't fucking do anything. I fucking know I can't do anything, which stacks more shame, makes you feel even worse. And people from the outside looking in just think you're being lazy because they can't see that you're holding the burden of the Atlas's burden on your shoulder. You're holding the world. They can't see it though. What's tricky about this is now you're seeing that today's therapy is just going to be talking about your identity the whole time. Well, tell me about your identity and tell me about your feelings. I just want to hear about your feelings and your identity. And then time's up and we don't actually get to any work. But the problem is a piece of you died and you have to grieve this element of it. Now, if you remember, how did this thing get in here again? It all came from somebody said, "Hey,
Mhm.
you aren't good enough. You can't do it. You're a bad person. You're a piece of shit." A you statement got converted into an I statement. This is very valuable to be able to show how to beat and beat the shame element of this. And I want to teach you something very cool because this only takes 5 minutes
'Kay.
to be able to do this. Once you understand that you have to fight doubt to remove shame, once I have to get rid of the doubt part of it, understanding the definition of doubt makes it so that that way you can overcome it.
Mhm.
So, the definition of doubt is that doubt offers you nothing to take away from you everything. That's the
Whoa.
business.
Whoa.
Doubt offers nothing to take everything. That's the if I was going to give you a business deal, this is my offer. So I'll show you and we'll do
Say it
one
one more
together.
time.
Doubt offers nothing to take from you everything. This is my contract. So remember, doubt's a businessman. This is a soul attack. This is a soul deal right here we're doing.
You know, my guess is that everybody you show this chart to identifies with it
Oh yeah,
because I mean, I feel it in my body,
we're all on this.
you know? Yeah.
It's a very powerful thing. And so this is a very helpful piece for you to have for them. Now, once you can get them breathing and once you get them back in that like the data over drama system, once
Mhm.
they're at section 7, and
Mhm.
now they're like, I feel connected and I feel purposeful, but this thing that's still there, I'll show you how to give it to God and how to get rid of it.
Mhm.
All right. let's look at any shame, anything. How about I am a piece of shit or I am unworthy of love? Give me any one that you just pick any of them that you've seen. Any.
For me personally, or
Or
from
or
the
or
patient?
client, anybody. It doesn't have to be yours.
Well, I think of my father. That just kind of triggers me to think of my father because, he was, God rest his soul, was, I would say he wasn't really built for being a dad. Um, he 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 didn't like his children, um, like just a person to person level. And I'd say that was true for my brother and my sister, but it was like he was just dismissive of your capability and anything. And uh, I'm in my mid 60s, and I still sometimes hear that echo in my heart, um, and it still hurts.
Give
You
me
know,
the piece that you feel like I am unworthy of love or I am not good enough. Give me anything that comes from that area.
um, well, he used to say this thing to me. He'd say, "When are you gonna grow up?"
What does that mean?
Um,
Does that mean be like him? Because he sounds highly insecure and overcompensating.
you got him. It was you're never gonna amount to anything commentary.
Perfect. Perfect. You're never going to amount to anything. I love this one. All right. This is a business deal. All right. Let's go. Let's go with shame stuff. I am never going to amount to anything. This is the offer. This is the
Uh-huh.
business deal. Okay.
Okay.
Here's my belief system offer. I'm never going to amount to anything. Now, let's go. We're smart guys. We can go through this. Let's read the contract. If I believe I'm never going to amount to anything, what is the benefits that you get from this contract? If I believe I'm not going to ever amount to anything, what is the benefit of believing this?
I don't have to try.
If I don't try, what do I get?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, so is there
Well, it
any
looks
other
like,
benefits?
but it's not nothing.
No, but you get nothing. You're never going to try. You're never going to accomplish anything. You'll probably be miserable. And what do you get when you're miserable? Nothing. And then you'll probably be alone. And what do you get when you're alone? Nothing. Like it ends up leading to nothing almost every way we do this. You're
No.
never going to amount to anything makes you literally never amount to anything. You get
You know,
nothing.
it's like my mind can't live in nothing.
But
That
somehow this
that
deal is
makes
sitting
sense?
there. Yes, correct. You're right. But it's still trying to, right? This goes to nothing. You can read the fine print no matter which way you slice this. If you follow this belief system, you will get nothing.
Mm,
Guaranteed. I have read the contract. We can see. Do you see any benefit that comes from this? You're never going to amount to anything. Any benefit to this program?
no.
Can't see it either. Looks like nothing, right? Okay. Well,
Yes.
if I get this, I get fucking nothing. Okay. I read it. I got it. What if I believe I'm absolutely going to amount to something and whatever I go for, I got this? It's going to be amazing.
Mhm,
You can't have two belief systems in the same slot, just one belief.
mhm.
And so, what do you get if you believe you are going to amount to something? What do you get? What are the options?
Immediately what shows up in my heart is that I can overcome anything.
Anything. There's nothing. Your
It
potential
goes
is
from
now
nothing
unlocked.
to everything.
Everything. You start seeing you can have fulfillment. You can serve people. You can help people. You can be loved. You can be worthy. People will support you and you'll support others. You can help people across the world. You're worth every element of connection and service and goodness. Everything opens up to you. Your confidence goes up. Your belief in yourself goes up. Your faith goes up. Everything goes up if you believe I am worth it and I am going to be something,
Mhm,
right? You start seeking what your purpose is. You start seeking to help others because you know you're worth it. That's what happens if you take this contract. But you have to choose, though. Free will is still the game. We still got to pick. Now
mhm.
that you can read the contracts and you see the options, you must choose which one. Do you want
Door
the
number
one that
2.
you want? Door number two, you're going to be, I am going to amount to something and I'm worth it.
Yes.
Instead of, I'm never going to amount to anything. So now the issue is people think that they've already won, but this thing is still sitting on the table.
Mhm.
So you have to say, I've read this contract. I'm going to crumble this contract up and throw it in the fire. I read it. I know it's a junk contract. It does it. Not even, it's a lie. It's not true. It gives you
Mhm.
nothing. It's a bullshit deal.
Mhm.
All right. Now try and see the shame. Try and shame yourself that I'm not going to amount to anything. Try it right now, knowing that that's a total lie.
That's hard to do now.
Correct. Because you just corrupted the belief system around the shaming that came from the source. We took
I
the source
love
out.
that. I love that.
It killed the source immediately. So your dad didn't know. So he gave you a lie that's a belief system. But if you know how to read these contracts, you're like, that's not true, Dad. That's a lie. That no, the truth is I'm very capable and I'm going to do all kinds of amazing things. But if you give me a nothing contract, it costs me everything.
Mhm.
Thank you for your offer for nothing, but I'm going to decline this offer and throw it away. That's a bad deal. I'm not going to do that offer. And you don't have to have any remorse or anger around it. It's just a bad business deal. And I'm going to decline the offer.
Wow.
See, it was very difficult for you to feel any shame around that belief system once you realized
Just
it's
went away.
garbage. There's nothing there. That's not real. And anybody who ever tries to say you're never going to amount to anything, you're like, I already read that contract, man. I know that ain't shit. Now, put yourself in that breathing state. Put yourself where you have stretched, you are breathing, your jaw is not clenched. Now,
Mhm.
let's go ahead and do your belief system around your shame. And let's go ahead and get rid of this damn piece. Let's throw that away. Now, how can you accept that? How does that feel? You're like, man, I instantly am not holding that. Now I
Mhm.
can breathe and now I feel instantaneously okay. Now
That's
you've helped them.
transformation. That's not just of some information. That's transformation.
Correct. And once you know how to do it, and this is the beauty of how doubt works, it's the same offer every time. It doesn't matter if it came from a parent or an ex or your wife or a friend or a betrayal or anything. It's the same offer every time. You're a
Mm.
piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit. Well, what do I get if I believe I'm a piece of shit? Nothing. Okay. What do I get if I don't believe I'm a piece of shit? Anything. It's always the same offer. Like
Now
you
I
don't.
understand something very important that I never understood this way, Rick. And I'm gonna say it's just the power of choice. But you
It
have to
always
have
is.
this framework, the model to work with that I've never seen before. So thank
Correct.
you. I feel like I should
It'll
send
always,
you a
that's why my
check.
first book is Everything is a Choice, is you start realizing that I have the free will to
Mhm.
be able to decide who I am, where I go, how I handle it. It all is, it's sitting, the opportunities are everywhere around us. We just have to be trained to see them.
Mhm.
And I think what you're doing is invaluable because it makes it so that you can get them to slow down
Mhm.
and take a look without having a trigger, without going to a control trigger like a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Like
Right.
if you, so I don't have to go into one of these. And this gives people a fighting damn chance here because I believe there's only two kinds of people. You're either trained or untrained. You either know how to do this stuff or you don't know how to do it yet, but there's skills. And so being able to combine, let's go ahead and remove the doubt and fear or the doubt and shame. Let's
Mhm.
remove that.
Mhm.
Now let's go ahead and do our exercises with letting go of any shame. And the two parts, especially for depression or PTSD, the big part really comes down to grieving is the deepest element of it. And that's why when you can get them through the pain and get through the grief, if you can get
Mhm.
them through their grief system while making it so they can do data instead of drama,
Mhm.
powerful. I think it all fits together and they'll find God. You'll get there. Once you can remove this mess,
Mhm.
it's right. He's hard to ignore. He's loud. It's very powerful stuff. So I very much, I'm very grateful to be able to share because this is advanced psych where you can see just in very short time.
Yep.
Like we just did that and you could feel it immediately, didn't you?
It's it left me quiet inside, Rick. I mean, it's hard to say anymore after I said that. It just left me quiet.
It's beautiful. Good. Your peace. You found some peace there.
Oh, yeah.
It
Then I
hasn't
just
been there your
send
whole
you a
life.
check, Rick.
What's that?
I feel like I should send you a check.
I'll invoice you. You'll be all set. Just kidding.
Very
No,
cool.
no, you're very welcome. And I have tons of these like this because we've gone through all of these different elements to do the same thing as you. We're very
Mhm.
holistic in the way to make sure that you don't need coping or you don't need medication and you don't need management. You need to get rid of the core piece, be able to breathe again, and now let's go ahead and heal. You just have to heal.
Yeah.
But people go into control instead of healing, and that makes it so they stay stuck in their survival prison forever, clenching their teeth, breathing from their chest, holding it all in their body.
Mm,
And I agree. But
beautiful.
I think we all work together on this thing. If you get people who are snipers in each side, mind, heart, body, spirit, and you put these together, that makes that Voltron figure. All the lion bots make the super bot.
Feels to me, yes, like, it finishes the work, 'cause that's what my experience was just a moment ago is, you know, I've processed that whole thing, from a number of angles, for a number of years, and, um, I'm still amazed how at 62, almost 63 years old, I still think about those things, this whole discussion we had. I'm amazed that that happens to human beings regularly. You
Yeah.
know, all these years, 50, 60 years later, it's still there.
Yes.
And, so thank you again.
You're very welcome. And we could do any of those. I could do 20 of those in a row. You'll never stump me on this. I do this with guys every day. I did this with this morning with a guy. Like, you won't stump me on this one. I've never had a doubt that people come up. You're not good enough. You're a piece of shit. You'll never be loved. You'll never amount to anything. You can't do it. You're stupid. You're too fat. You're too short. You're too big. You're too little. Doesn't matter what judgment or what doubt it is. It's
Mhm.
always the same thing. And once you know how to do this, you don't need me anymore. You can just do this on your own all day. All right, what's the offer? Nothing. What do I get if I don't do that and I believe in myself? Anything. Which one do you want? You don't need me for this. You could write these down and just go, that one. Throw the other one away.
We share the same ethic about that, I wanted to do something where my patient didn't need me anymore.
Hmm.
That was in a way, that was the point.
Yes.
And, what a friend of mine, a mentor of mine, a different doctor, he used to talk about how if you're really, really good at what you do, uh, as a doctor, sometimes you won't make as much money because they're fixed and they don't need to keep coming back to you forever. And, I've certainly experienced that in a certain light, uh,
Really.
of being
Here's a
able
here's a
just
different perspective for you.
yeah,
Like I've gone the other direction on this because how many people do you think need help from uh, PTSD, addiction, depression, anxiety? How many people do you think need help?
over 90% of the population.
90% of the population. How many people do you think you could treat in, say, a week?
Uh,
Let's say you could help a
15?
hundred. Let's say you could help 100 a day. Let's say you were so good, you could do your 16-week program in one day, and you could help 100 people a day, right? Let's do that. Watch. All right. Let's have some fun with this. All right, Doc. I'm going to show you. This is how I see the world on this one.
Cool.
All right. We got 100 people times 7, and then let's give you a whole year on this one. We got 36,400 people that you've helped so far, right?
Yeah.
Um how many more years you think you got that you could just keep going at this pace, 100 people a day, 100 people a day, 100 people a day? That's
Uh,
exhausting, by the way.
just to think about it,
Right. Let's just say you have the endurance for another, let's give you 15 more years, right?
that's the number.
Okay. Now you're at over 500,000 people, 546,000 people that you've helped directly. Like you've helped 500,000 people now. Now, 90% of the population, how many people is that?
Less than
Billions.
1%.
Yeah, you're at a fraction of a percentage in 15 years if you help 100 a day. even if we were that effective, you still will not run out of clients.
Right.
Like, there will always be people. The better we get at helping people, you'll
Mm.
have an endless stream of clients.
Yep.
I don't believe we'll ever be on a shortage for this.
That's true.
And so just being able to stay connected to make sure people know you're doing what you're doing, the more people you help, the more people know what you do.
Mhm.
And then it turns into that's what you do.
Mm. And that's even comes back to the belief, and the whole set of emotions around that, uh, of, "Hey, yeah, I can do that, and I don't have to deal with the nothing.
Correct.
To do is work toward the everything something." So,
Yeah. That's Henry. You believe you can or believe you can't. Either way, you're right. You think you're going to run out of money or clients? What are you talking about? There's billions.
you know
They just need to know about you. That's all we're doing is got to make sure they know that, hey, there's a very effective way that you can do this to make it so that you don't carry all of this all the time with you.
mm,
I believe that we all work together. I do not see any competition with anything on this. I think even the way you and I work at the same approach, I think these work perfectly, like puzzle
mhm,
pieces that fit next to each other.
mm,
When people start getting into a polarization or an idealization of my way is the only way, is when
yeah,
we start realizing that we're not healing people anymore. We're worshiping ourselves at that point.
yeah. And
I think,
that's something to be, soberly considered, and my experience is that there's work there to do. And going back to, the earliest part of my career, there was this point in time where I felt like I had a tiger by the tail. And I did a substantial amount of studying with inventors. Um, and so many of them have gone through this experience of uh, hard to hard for society to get it in the early stage. That's just how it is, in almost everything, when it comes to inventing. And then, it's so easy to get to this place of, "Oh, what a good boy I am." You know, uh, how smart am I to do all this? And, um, number 1, my belief structure with the Lord, I'm gonna say, is such that, uh that's just stupid thinking to think of what a good boy am I, because it all comes from God in the first place. It's like claiming that you own a piece of real estate, uh, that you don't own. So, the work part, I mean, is you gotta keep remembering that and bring humility. And if you can't do that, then it's only a matter of time before you crash. Um, and and we've all seen that with, people that have done something really cool, but it became all about them, and that's
true.
just the death road. And
Uh,
so,
One of the books I'm writing, it goes into all the different versions of self worship. But do you remember the very first line on the Sermon on the Mount? Like Jesus's keynote speech, like the greatest speech ever written. The very first line, the first beatitude is, "Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs
mhm,
shall be the kingdom of heaven." And Jesus talks about the kingdom of heaven is within us.
mhm.
Blessed are those who are poor in spirit means blessed are those who do not self worship and who are humble. Like, do not worship yourself.
I
Blessed are the
never knew what this one meant, so thank you
yeah,
for that, Rick. I'm
yeah,
just
it's means humility. You again do not worship yourself.
mhm,
And being poor in spirit is mistranslated. People say don't be poor or blessed are the poor. It's like, no, no, being having abundance is okay. Being humble with your abundance is the only option that works. And so if you have more, now I can give more humbly. But if you have less, you're just not helpful. And that's not humble. That's the opposite.
you know, uh, I'm sure you're familiar with, the Kersey temperaments order.
Mm-mm.
It's a personality profiling, test system.
I haven't seen that one. I lean a lot more Enneagram than I do with that one.
Okay, so, uh, it's also known as the Myers-Briggs. That's
I
kind of
got you. Yeah,
a
that one
so
changes a lot though.
what's that?
That one changes a lot though. Whenever I work with people, because I
Yeah.
work with men mostly, and even after our 16 weeks of working with somebody, their Myers Briggs changes every time.
Well, uh, my type, I always remembered that when I read this, that my personality type is naturally confident, and, that's the thing that has triggered me to, uh, watch out, is that confidence can very quickly just take you right off the table of humility, in a rapid period of time. So I'm gonna say even guarded over the years about that particular issue, because confidence can, can have a negative side to it,
Oh yes. Well,
and
when it turns into self worship, of course. I have a very hard question for you, and it took me a few weeks to answer this, so I don't expect an answer now, but something to write on, and then we can stay in contact.
okay.
A question a friend of mine sent me years ago, and it took me a while to really break down the elements of this. For that confidence and for that achievement and for all the things that you're able to naturally be very competent at, the things you just catch on to very quickly. The question he gave me was, where does your worth come from? Now, everyone goes, comes from God, comes from God, comes from myself, comes from God. Like we have these really quick brochure answers.
Mhm,
No, no, really though. Where does it come from? Does it come from service? Does it come from being served? Does it come from serving yourself? Does it come from pride or arrogance? Does it come from lust or gluttony? Does it come from greed? Does it come from deception? Does it come from wearing a mask and calling myself a certain persona? Where does your worth really come from, and how do you get it? How do you get your worth? And you start very quickly realizing that the circumstances don't define you, they reveal you to yourself. And you
mhm,
start figuring out how you really see you. It took me a few weeks to really break this one down on myself. And I
mhm,
had multiple categories of where my worth came from and how they manifest.
mhm.
And that was a bit of a nut punch on that one.
Yeah,
It's a very humbling question.
yeah, I can see why it took you a few weeks to find the answer to that question. Um, I suppose my first answer comes to mind is when I've helped another human being transform out of suffering, that's where I feel that worth.
That's one part of it. You will find elements of service riddled through your worth, your worthiness. But you serve in more than just work.
As long as I can remember, like when I was 7 years old, I remember trying to understand why there was so much suffering in the world. I was trying to get my mental arms around it. And you know what? I've never been successful at answering that question.
I can give you an opinion that I found.
Sure.
You cannot be good unless you've been through bad or done bad. I think the design seems like it's necessary as much as we don't like it. It's necessary. Whatever soul refinery this is, whatever role and purpose humanity has in our connection to creation, in our connection to all the laws that God created of manifestation, law of attraction, law of vibration, law of quantum mechanics, these laws exist regardless of whether we fucking like them or not. They
Right.
exist, and there's things that exist for these rules in this existence. I believe that in order to truly be good, you must do bad. Because have you ever done anything so selfishly fucked up that it blows up in your face and you go, I'm never doing that again?
Yes.
Good. If that system exists, that would mean the devil character is not good at his job, because that means if I help you do your job, you don't want to do it anymore. And so that's not a very good worship system just by itself.
Mhm.
But if you do something radically selfish and self-serving or self-worshiping and then go, I never want to do that again, That means from that point on, anytime tempted, anytime provoked, anytime drawn to that idea, you're like, I'm not doing that. I already know how shitty that is.
Mhm.
That would mean by doing something bad, you've now become a good person. I don't do that anymore, and you can't even offer me that shit because I know what happens when you do that, and I
Mhm.
don't do that anymore.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what level it's on. Could be cheating, could be arrogance, could be greed, it could be wrath, it could be sloth, it could be fear, it could be deception. It doesn't matter what it is. As soon as you start going into my own self worship and going, you know what? I fucked that up.
Mhm.
I fucked that up bad. You're like, you want to do it again? No. And that makes you good. This is why, Jesus says all sins are created equal. It's like
Mhm.
once you learn from it, you now become a good person.
Mhm.
People have to do shitty things and have to go through shitty things. And
Mhm.
another thing, and I think that maybe you've even found this, and I found this too, the more difficult and more traumatic and more hard the thing you've had to overcome
Mhm.
usually ends up being associated to your purpose in serving others.
Mhm.
You
Well,
had to go through it. You had
yes.
to go through it or else you wouldn't be able to do what you do.
Mhm. I don't know why this memory is coming up right now, but, I remember my in utero experience in detail. Like, I called my mom up years and years ago, and I kinda half-asked and half told her that she listened to, a particular Mozart song over and over when I was in utero, and she's like, "How do you know that?" I said, "I remembered it." She goes, "Come on." And it was over about a 10-year period of time where these memories came up, and, the last time I communicated with her about that, it was a memory of her getting beat up by my father, while I was in utero, and she never told anybody that event. So it really freaked her out, and, it was strange because I was remembering it, but it was a different experience of memory than my lived experience of memory. I don't know if that makes any sense, but, um, that
It it makes more sense than I think people who would say only one belief system exists would admit. I was remember talking with Daniel Jackson, he's an amazing spirit medium guy, and like he's the stuff he says, I'm like, how the fuck? Like he's a wild dude, but I love listening to him. He's incredible, and he points out these things about the spirit element or spirit world. He's like, do you believe that you have a soul, or do you believe that there are spirits? There's energy out there, right?
mhm,
Call it angels, call it demons, call it ghosts, whatever it is. There's energy, right? There's something, right?
yeah,
What organs do these spirits have?
huh,
Do they have a brain, a heart, a liver? Like what organs does a spirit have? They don't have a nose. They don't smell it. They don't have these organs. They don't have them. So when you're putting smoke around your house, like that doesn't fuck with them. They don't have a fucking nose. Like you're not fucking with them. What organs do they have? And you said they don't have organs. It's a
yeah,
spiritual entity. And so for us to say it's just my brain or it's just my body or it's my heart, it's like it's very interesting because you're having memory, but it wasn't because of your brain. It's because you have a spirit. Your
yes,
spirit is where you hold your memory. Who you are is spirit because when you die, your heart doesn't leave and your brain doesn't leave. Your spirit leaves and everything shuts down when your spirit is gone.
mhm,
Your spirit remembers. And so I don't think it's too esoteric because everyone has a soul.
mhm,
Whatever you believe your faith system is, a relationship with God is not a religion. And that's where I think people create control systems and get church hurt and fuck people up.
yep,
The reality is we are connected through spirit, and all things are spirit. Mind, heart, body, those are all technically spirit, but we break them up to make it so we can compartmentalize and get work done, which
yes,
is logical because people can't take it all on at once, which is only fair. So they
Mhm.
need to do it in the ways that we teach it so they can get to the point of understanding, oh, it was all spirit the whole time.
Mm.
But you can't start there. It's like the top of the mountain, and then they get all fucked up and then they quit. So we have to start with breathing. We have to start with stretch. We have to start with go for a walk. We have to start with pick your contract. You
Mhm.
have to start at a very bite-sized level until you can get up high enough to go, I think everything is connected here. You're like,
Well,
it always was. We just needed you up high enough to see it.
yeah.
And so I think what you're explaining makes perfect sense because it's not your brain that remembers. It's your soul that remembers. And being able to connect with that element of yourself doesn't sound esoteric to me.
Thank you for that. That's, it makes connections within, um, for my own understanding, and, uh, I think that I always experienced, it's like a little bit of shame and a little bit of guilt for having that kind of memory because I perceived that when I would share that, which is not very often, obviously, who's gonna share that all the time? Um, the sort of the unbelievability to it, um, or it's an assault to my own integrity to share something like that to some people in my perceived lived experience. But yeah, it's kinda connecting within that it's, much more acceptable to me. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Rule number 2 in the creed for us is no blame, no shame, no judgment.
Mm.
Like, no, what you experienced is what you experienced. It's very silly of me to tell you what you experienced isn't your experience. They call that gaslighting. It'd be very silly for me to gaslight you on your experience. That's nonsense.
That's you're giving me a lot to think about here, Dr. Rick.
That's what we do together. When you put great energies and great people together, we challenge each other to grow and we push each other out of comfort. And it's interesting the way that you do it is you'll move the discomfort to an area that it can release.
Mhm.
I highly honor the approach that you've taken. And people are taking body side very differently than the way that you've done it. And I like that you found a core piece. And I also like to find the core pieces through the other elements too. And
Right.
I think that putting these together is it creates the greater purpose. There is no competition amongst us.
I'd like to send you, a couple of charts that, have come out of the work if you'd like to receive them.
Yeah, I would love that. Yes.
Uh, the 2 I wanna share with you is, they're one of them is called the, stress index, respiratory rate correlations, and just by measuring respiratory rate on this chart, you can ascertain with precision brain dominance, uh, uh, referring to higher function of the brain or lower function being in charge, focus and concentration, stress reactivity, symptoms of trauma, sleep, uh, predictability. Like it's uncanny how accurate this chart, um, how accurate it predicts. And then the other one I was talking about earlier, the uh, stress cycle. Um, it just calls out these 8 elements that they're so when you when you look at that chart, and when I give talks on that chart, uh, all I need is that one chart, and people just they identify with it. That's what I'll say. And so, because I really want to get that chart that you shared earlier. Um, and did you use mind map for that one?
No, I built that myself. I didn't use any
Oh,
tricks for it.
okay.
That was me with circles and lines. There was no tricks.
You drew it out on paper first, right?
I drew it on my tablet first. Yeah, so
Oh,
I
okay.
had the original one just on I was in the middle of the night and God's like, "You gotta make the circles." I've actually run this by multiple, psychologists, therapists, authors. I run it by them. I'm like, break it, like see if it's wrong.
Yep.
And even like one of my mentors was Anthony Dahlman Jones. He's written 6 psychology books. He's been doing it for like 50 years. And he was like, it's one of the best ones I've ever seen. He's like, this is good.
Well,
So like
here's
I put it through its paces to see if this thing holds up. And when I've done deep work training with people, I can find where you are. I know where you're stuck.
mhm,
And
mhm.
this makes it so I can get you out of hell because I know where you're stuck at.
Beautiful.
It's very
Well,
cool. I'm happy to send it to you. That'd be very great.
okay, and, uh, yeah, um, the
You got
sooner the better.
you're chewing on it now. You're like, I got stuff I
Oh,
gotta
it's
think. I
well,
got
good. That's exactly
I got
no, okay,
I
back in
love that.
here. I also, I just noticed a few minutes ago, curse breaker. I like that moniker.
Yeah, it's my code name. So when guys are going through the Warriors Way mindset training that we do, because we have huge organization, we train through to teach guys how to do all the stuff that we do. That's we each get code names, and some of them are funny and some of them are, you know, depending on what their skills are, what their abilities are. So we have some very cool guys in here who, like, it may be because they do a certain behavior. So some guys may be code name Pinocchio because he's got no strings on him and he's free now, or some guys code name Stacks because when he talks he puts like 5 or 6 things together in one conversation. We're like, what are you talking about? And so we'll end up getting different code names based on our experiences and our battles that we do. It's pretty cool when guys go through training.
Reminds me of, the handle that pilots get. They always get, um, these very usually they're kind of funny based on a real story,
Yep.
like, I don't know, Maverick, you know?
Yep.
But anyway,
Perfect. You exactly get it. That's what we do. So my code name is Curse Breaker because when it comes to breaking the belief systems that have held you held down for your whole life, we can kill those very quickly.
mhm. I really like what you're up to, and like I said, I've been watching you for, I don't know, at least a year. Um,
That's amazing. I appreciate you very much.
yeah, it's, you know, about, 3 weeks ago, I was sitting with my girlfriend and happened upon one of your videos. I'm like, "Watch this guy. Watch this guy. What see what" and then I'm talking to you. It's like, it's amazing.
It's a beautiful thing. I love how God works on this one. And I was actually, I don't know even, I'm just going to put out there, which is really exciting. I thought my secretary, I thought my vice president set this up. Like, I was like, Randy, how did David get this link? I was looking to get back into podcasting because I took a break because we built a couple programs and we helped a lot of people out. And I was like, I took a break from the podcast, and then I saw you were on today. I was like, how did Dr. Rubenstein get this for me? How did he set that up? And she's like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. And I was like, you didn't do it? She's like, no. I was like, then this is just kismet. It just worked out perfectly that you figured out how to get on this. I love it. I'm very honored and grateful that you're here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rick.
So, what do you say that you and I do a little more teamwork in the future and help some more people out?
That sounds great. I love your work and, looks like a really nice natural fit here. 'Cause, like I've said, there's so many things that I just don't have the background for. Um, and, I enjoyed the philosophical aspect, here just as much as it's like the therapeutic part, and then there's a philosophical. I enjoy that too. So thank you very much for what you do, Rick.
You're very welcome. And thank you for being on the front line with us, getting out there and making sure. Because I also, I'm going to put it out there, shameless plug for my buddy. In August, I'll be speaking at Hero Stock. That's a conglomerate for veterans. It's my buddy owns Hero Stock, and he'll be able to help out for a lot of people to be able to come out there. It's Jason Steiner, and he gets all these veteran groups together,
Mhm.
and it creates a huge community to make sure that we can help out veterans working through all areas of whatever it is they have to work through.
Mhm.
And I'll let them know too if you want to come out and be with us and just share kind of how you can help people on the spot too. I'll be speaking, and if you want to be there, I'm sure we can get you a spot or a booth or whatever you'd like to be able to showcase how you help veterans too. It'd be the perfect place to do it if you want. I can put a word in for you.
I'm always down for helping veterans and, where whenever and wherever I can. So I'm a yes.
Cool. Sounds good. We'll stay in touch. I'll make sure you have all my info. But is there anything that if you want people to be able to reach out to you and get some time with you and like, I need this, I need to do some of the body work with David and I need that right now.
Okay.
How can people get in touch with you to make sure they can get started right away?
So the preamble would be we can work with people over the internet or in the office, and a brief conversation reveals which is the ideal for each individual. But you can go to totalreliefmethod.com and you can hook up with us that way. Or you can call Miss Patty is her name. She coordinates the work that I do with everyone, and her number is 714-392-2458. 714-392-2458. She schedules and makes all the things work. She makes everything work. So those are the two different ways.
Perfect. And so I look forward to having more time with you. Thank you so much for joining on with me today. And everybody, give Miss Patty a call. And let's go ahead and
Great.
get you guys set up. And I'm really looking forward to having some more time. Thank you, David. I appreciate
Thanks,
you so
Rip.
much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it so much.